My name's Lex Luthor, and I'm going to teach you how to make this kryptonite containment system. Alright, let's build a box. I already drew the lines on it, and I'll show you how to draw the lines, and it's super easy. You can just use a ruler and a magazine or anything that has a 90-degree angle on it so that you can get your lines nice and straight to make the box. My foam board's all messed up and dirty, but that doesn't matter because we're going to paint this when we're done making the box. And I tried to draw this in a way that I can explain it to you, and it's relatively easy to understand. The red highlighted lines, you're going to cut through both sides of the paper on the foam board. And the green highlighted lines, you're only going to cut through the top layer of paper and then split the foam and remove that little section, like this little part here, here, and here. And this size works pretty well that I've found, so each side of every square is going to be 5 inches. Except for this one, you can cut it out at 5 inches, but you're going to have to trim off all of these edges so that it fits inside of the box. This is what's going to hide the book light in the back of the box. So now you get to watch me cut it out. It helps if you have a really, really sharp knife to do this. So if you're young, get your parents' help to cut this out. It also helps if you have something really flat underneath, unlike this wood that I've got. So I should probably put something under there. Now I'll cut it all out. I forgot a line on this one. Since I forgot to draw that line, I figure now's as good a time as any to explain why you cut through one side of this and not the other. If you want this to be 5 inches square and that to be 5 inches square, you can't just fold them. I mean, you could, but it'd be difficult. The easiest way to do this is to cut the paper just on the top side on both of these lines. This is still a 5-inch square, and then this is a 5-inch square minus 7/16 on this side, right here, that side. And you fold it up so that it runs into this one. It sits like that. You know what I'm saying? Now mine are all 7/16. If you get different foam board than I got, just measure the thickness of the foam board and draw that line next to the lines on the inside of this box and then on the sides of this box. And it'll all work out. Trust me. Be very careful just to cut through one side of the paper, otherwise the other side will be super weak since it's all half cut through. See? You just take this and pull it off. Fold that up. Just like that. And glue it. See how easy that foam pulls off? At this point you might be thinking, Lex Luthor, why are you building a container for kryptonite out of a $1 piece of foam board? You're rich. Well, you're right, but I want everybody to have kryptonite. That way we can kill this Superman character together. The more kryptonite, the better. Now see, you hold those down, fold them up, keeps your 5-inch dimensions, hold that one down, fold it up, and those all come together. And now we're just going to hot glue those seams and we have the basis for our box. Now that you got your glue in there, you don't have to hold it for a really long time. You just want to hold on to it until it stays. It's the magic of hot glue. This next step is pretty simple. It's for the lid. Just make sure you're cutting something that has 90-degree angles on it. Now cut that rectangle or square or whatever you cut, corner to corner. That's it. Now take your lid, run the glue down through, and stick it. Put glue on the outside of the triangle. Those sides, not this side, sides with the 90-degree angle on it. And then stick it on there, and that'll keep your lid nice and square and perfect. And then put this one on the other side, and your lid's done. I just now realized that I made my lid wrong, and I folded the wrong side up, which made it really short on this side and long on that side. But that works, because I also forgot that you have to take 7/16 off of each side of the lid for it to fit down inside like the other box that I made. So really, I guess the point is, it doesn't matter if you screw up. You can just make it work. It's not too difficult. You're just making a foam box with a lid that goes like that. That has kryptonite in it. Cut out your circle. This is a little bit of a pain in the butt. It's not that bad. And then you have a little channel for your wires to run through. See? Now you don't even have to cut out exactly on there, but I think it looks cool if you cut it at an angle. So just take your knife and cut out your little face. First thing that you want to do to get your book light ready is chop off this bottom section because it's too big to fit in your container. Get rid of that. Now this little metal tab thing, you can just grab it and pull it, and it kind of breaks the little plastic things inside, but it comes out relatively easy. And now it's time to reassemble it, but you're going to need to extend your wires. So find something small. You can use pretty much any wire. These wires are super tiny. So melt the insulation off instead of trying to strip it with a knife or something, because you'll just cut these copper strands. They're very small. This little part, that was the second part to having an LED housing in it, doesn't play much of a role. So you're just going to screw this back together, put it in place, and hot glue it. Put it back inside the big section, put the screws back in, and screw this one shut. Now just flip that little part out, stick some hot glue on the side there, and on that side there, and push that back into place, and wipe off the excess. This is the really difficult part. We need to turn this little piece right here so that it's under tension so that it makes this flip open. Alright, it's under tension. It's set. Lock it down in place and don't push the button. Put the back plate on, then put your screws in. Take the leftover screws, throw them over your shoulder for good luck. Give it a little test. Push the button. Oh. Now take your book light and line it up to the top edge of your box. And make sure it's centered. Draw your lines for where this is going to be located. You can see where the button is. So then, just mark off a little area big enough for you to get your finger in, depending on how fat your fingers are. And cut that section out, that way you can reach the button. Put some glue on the back, and stick it in place. Remember that square we cut out that was slightly smaller than the rest of the squares? That goes right here and covers it up. Obviously we won't be able to connect the lid to this if this foam is in the way, so let's cut this section out. Throw some glue right on this. Hold your little wires to the front, that way they don't get caught. And glue this sucker in place. Take your little melt circle, put some glue on it. Let's see, figure out a way for you to see this. Now you have your little pedestal plate that hides the wires in place. Perfect. Now you're going to make shape basically like this, and you're going to trace it 4 times on your foam board. As with everything else in this project, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it helps. Now you're going to glue these 4 pieces together, and this will be the lifting arm that lifts up the lid. Oh, I'm pulling them the wrong direction. How about that? There we go. You're going to try to line them up across the top like that. See? We gotta get these glued to that part first. Right there, just on the swing arm. Make sure the hot glue doesn't get on the areas around it, otherwise it won't open. And then your box won't open, and your kryptonite won't turn on. And then you can't kill Superman. Hot glue, lots of glue. If you want to, you can put something heavy on top, that way you don't have to hold it. Just put that on there, let it sit. When you go to open the box, it won't open. That's because the lid needs to be clearanced up to the edge where the hinge is at. So grab your knife and cut it. To cover this crack, just take a piece of paper, cut its shape, and hot glue it on. So it's not getting caught up, but I didn't put enough tension in my spring to make it open on its own. I don't know why it's not. I did it exactly the same as the other one that opens on its own. So, cheap book lights, dollar store, what are you gonna do? Anyway, time to paint it. Oh, before we start painting, I forgot to say, the edges where the foam shows on this is styrene foam inside the foam board that I got, so the paint is going to melt it. So I'm gonna very lightly coat it with primer, before I put the final coat on, and that should help it to not melt quite so much. It's still gonna melt, it just won't melt quite so fast. Pro tip, when you go to paint the inside, mask off this little area right here, right? Because that's where this little thing comes down and latches. Now that it's primed, I'm going to let it dry for a while, and then I'll put the colors on that I want to be in it. Or I'll put the kryptonite inside. I'm doing gold. Gold inside, different color outside. Gold and green do look good together. Time to paint the outside. I'm going to use hammered brown Rust-Oleum. Well, that looks pretty cool. I'm going to shoot just a little bit of this stone stuff on the outside just to see how it looks. That's better. Now it looks like it's made out of rocks and stuff. Now that the paint's dry, all you got to do is connect the wires and glue this in place. Just make sure you connect the wires the right way. If you connect them the wrong way, it won't turn on. If you do it the right way, it will. The easiest way to get this down without the wires sticking out is to stick the wires back into the channel and put them up into the rock at the same time. Once you have the wires hidden, figure out where you want it to be and make sure that it's not going to hit the rock inside. You know what I mean? And mine is. Not clear. Then, once you've got it situated, hot glue it down. Make sure you hold it in place until the glue is cooled down and solidified, and then you're good. Well, if you have this problem like I'm having now, where your little swing arm piece hits the top of it, you can just trim it and show you. Let's try with the lights off. Oh, look at that. It's real kryptonite. See? Light off. Light on. How cool is that? This is the borax, or household grade kryptonite. Anyway, this doesn't carry the light through it nearly as well as the sodium thiosulfate, or weapons grade kryptonite. But it still looks cool. Just not as cool as that. Side by side comparison. Plus the inside of the household grade kryptonite is the inside of the box is painted a dark color, whereas this one's gold, so it makes it a lot more awesome. Anyway, there's the final product. Press the like button because I'm Lex Luthor and I told you to, and subscribe for more cool stuff. Thanks for watching.